Hello? Oh, for Christ's sake, what's he said now? All right, I'll check to it. I'll call you back. Bloody Brooklyn. What the f***? Victoria!
Hello, my darling Fumi Nation. How are you? How are we? My name is Fumidesaluvold. For those of you that are stopping by for the very first time, you're so very welcome indeed. Please do not forget to like, to subscribe, hit the notification button. Let's see if we can hit 1 million. So, my darlings, you must be saying to yourself, why are we here? I'll tell you why we're here. I don't know what's in the milk. I don't know what's in the water, but I'm having a lot of adults who come to me in the DMs and talk about their relationships with their parents, with their elder parents, their strained relationships, situations that have gone on for years. And just 2-3 days ago, I made an episode on parenting, being an adult yourself, where you would have your own children and you struggle with your elder parents. Only for me to wake up this morning and Beckham was all over the tabloids. I put out a poll. You guys said, for me, cover it. So here I am. Let us start with what Brooklyn has to say, because it was a 6-page revelation on his on his Instagram stories, of which he has over 14 million followers. Here we go. I have been silent for many years and made every effort to keep these matters private. Unfortunately, my parents and their team have continued to go to the press, leaving me with no choice but to speak for myself and tell the truth about only some of the lies that have been printed. I do not want to reconcile with my family. I'm not being controlled. I'm standing up for myself for the first time in my life. For my entire life, my parents have controlled narratives in the press about our family. The performative social media posts, family events, and inauthentic relationships have been a fixture of the life I was born into. Recently, I have seen with my own eyes the lengths that they'll go through to place countless lies in the media, mostly at the expense of innocent people, to preserve their own facade. But I believe the truth always comes out. Why is this giving me Prince Harry vibes? My parents have been trying endlessly to ruin my relationship since before my wedding, and it hasn't stopped. My mom cancelled making Nicola's dress in the 11th hour despite how excited she was to wear her design, forcing her to urgently find a new dress. Weeks before our big day, my parents reportedly pressured and attempted to bribe me into signing away the rights to my name. Which would have affected me, my wife, and our future children. They were adamant on my signing before my wedding date because then the terms of the deal would be initiated. My holdout affected the payday, and they have never treated me the same since. During the wedding planning, my mom went as far as to call me evil because Nicola and I chose to include my nanny Sandra and Nicola's nanny at our table because they both didn't have their husbands. Both of our parents had their own tables equally adjacent to ours. The night before our wedding, members of my family told me that Nicola was not blood and not family. Since the moment I started standing up for myself with my family, I've received endless attacks from my parents, both privately and publicly, that were sent to the press on their orders. Even my brothers were sent to attack me on social media before they ultimately blocked me out of nowhere this last summer. My mom hijacked my first dance with my wife, which had been planned weeks in advance, to a romantic love song. In front of our 500 wedding guests, Mark Anthony called me to the stage, where in the schedule was planned to be my romantic dance with my wife, but instead my mom was waiting to dance with me instead. She danced very inappropriately on me in front of everyone. I've never felt more uncomfortable or humiliated in my entire life. We wanted to renew our vows so we could create new memories of our wedding day that bring us joy and happiness, not anxiety and embarrassment. My wife has been consistently disrespected by my family, no matter how hard we've tried to come together as one. My mom has repeatedly invited women from my past into our lives in ways that were clearly intended to make us both uncomfortable. Despite this, we still traveled to London for my father's birthday and were rejected for a week as we waited in our hotel room trying to plan quality time with him. He refused all of our meetings unless it was at his big birthday party with 100 guests and cameras at every corner. When he finally agreed to see me, it was under the condition that Nicola wasn't invited. It was a slap in the face. Later, when my family traveled to LA, they refused to see me at all. My family values public promotion and endorsements above all else. Brand Beckham comes first. Family love is decided by how much you post on social media or how quickly you drop everything to show up and pose for a family photo op, even if it's at the expense of our professional obligations. We've gone out of our way for years to show up and support at every fashion show, every party, and every press activity to show our perfect family. But the one time my wife asked for my mom's support to save displaced dogs during the LA fires, my mother refused. The narrative that my wife controls me is completely backwards. I've been controlled by my parents for most of my life. I grew up with overwhelming anxiety for the first time in my life. Since stepping away from my family, that anxiety has disappeared. I wake up every morning grateful for the life I chose and have found peace and relief. My wife and I do not want a life shaped by image press or manipulation. All we want is peace, privacy, and happiness for us and our future family. That future family part, it makes me feel as if maybe Nicola is expecting. All right, I'll tell you this. I met Victoria Beckham in 2007, almost 20 years ago. I was working on Ugly Betty, and Victoria Beckham was invited onto the show. And she came on time. She also brought parts of her wardrobe. I'll never forget, she had these pair of sensational heels, encrusted. They were absolutely gorgeous. And she was there all day. She was quiet. She acted beautifully. And she was so very humble, very pleasant, no grandeur antics at all. What stood out for me was she came with her 3 young sons, the most well-behaved children ever. The most well-behaved, and I say that because they were so young. David came later on. He kissed his wife and he was playing with the children. I'm going to say this to you, Victoria, because you had left and everybody spoke about you and your family, how beautiful, how beautifully behaved and humble for such great superstars that you were, how very ordinary you were, and how wonderful your children were. I remember they were like, maybe because they're British. And the boys had their little British accents. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. You really made an impression to the cast, the production team of Ugly Betty. I say that to say that I'm so sad that this is what it has come to. I'm so sad for everybody involved. Brooklyn, I believe you. there is always your side, your mom and dad's side, and the truth. Nicola, that you are married to truly is because you were born in privilege of which you had access to meet somebody of her status and marry. Your parents have given you everything. The privilege for you to live in America, to be with Nicola, has been from your parents. Brand Beckham, you're spot on. I remember your parents when they were younger because we're all the same age, so I feel very much like an auntie. And they built that brand. They built their careers, of which they were very successful. And that is what all of you, their 4 children, are privy to. It does not take away the valid emotion that you feel. I have seen many a time where children suffer under extremely successful parents because you cannot reach up to those expectations. It's impossible. You are their son, but you are your person, and so you have to find your path. I also know that no sibling have the same set of parents.
Siblings can grow up in the same house.
No siblings grow up in the same house. No siblings have the same parents. No siblings have the same family. No siblings have the same childhood. Why not? Number 1, there's the birth order. Parents don't relate to the first child the way they relate to the second child. Then there's gender differences. And I'm not talking about whether parents love the kids or not. I'm talking about what actually happens. The child doesn't experience the parents' love. The child experiences the way the parent shows up. Number 2, the parents' relationship might be in a different phase with one child and another. Then, the parents might be in a different economic situation. The parents' lives might be different. Then, each child will evoke a different response from the parent. You have 2 daughters and a son. I have 2 sons and a daughter. It's not that I loved or we loved any one of them more than the other, but we responded to them differently. And there's one more factor, which is children are born with different temperaments, which is they experience the world differently. So even if I could be the same parent to all my kids, which I couldn't be, they'd still have 3 different parents because they would experience me differently.
The eldest has the younger set of parents where they're still building their careers, where the time with their first child is not as much as they would want it to be because they're building their careers. So the way you were brought up would be very, very different from the way Harper is brought up. Harper also was the only girl. There's not a picture that I see of Harper and her father David that David is not looking with absolute love at Harper. Every child also is different. The dynamic is different. And so in many ways, you could have seen Brooklyn as a young parent because he was the eldest, because he's told, you are the eldest, you should know better, you should this, you should that. I also want David and Victoria to understand, never, ever underestimate the power of love. You will lose. Brooklyn is in love with his wife and stood up for his wife as he should. And in many ways, we should admire that in him. I feel, Brooklyn, that you are upset, and it was a retaliation of this 6-page explosive bomb that you dropped in social media world. Do I think it was the right choice to make? I'm not in a position to say. I will say that things have to settle. For you not to want to speak to your parents is because you're hurt, you're angry, you're frustrated, you've been isolated, and I don't think that it's nice that your brothers, if true, blocked you on social media. I have not heard from their side, but as parents, David and Victoria, never ever manipulate one sibling to the other. And that's another wound in itself. That's a deeper wound, because if that is true, you co-signed it in your silence. Be upset with Brooklyn, but keep the children out of it. And if you see that amongst your children, say, no, that's wrong. He's the eldest son. I remember he was conceived in Brooklyn, hence his name Brooklyn. See how far back we're going? I feel that there is a lot under this bridge. Not just the wedding in 2022. There has been a lot of hostility. There's a lot of resentment that has been going on for years. And it just imploded when Nicola came about. You might think that Nicola is at fault here, that Nicola is to blame. No. Nicola is not to blame. This is Brooklyn. And these are all the things that Brooklyn has been feeling for a very long time. And Nicola has given him a sense of release because her expectations of him are not ridiculously high in Brooklyn's eyes as yours. Brooklyn, you also have to take accountability that you having another wedding of where it is evident for everybody to see that your family was not there, but Nicola's family was there, and you publicized them. It's also a slap in their face. It's also a slap in your parents' face. They have to now answer questions about this. I saw this in the media, and for whatever reason, because I had met Victoria so many years ago, I chose not to do it. Because every family have their issues, every single family. The thing is that we have to find a way to really make an effort. Be a bigger person. And I know I hate that word myself too. Be a bigger person and wield it. Brooklyn, life is short. You're going to have children, and your perspective will also switch from child, adult to parent, child, and adult, because you're going to have your own children. So I do know for a fact that Victoria will be looking at you, remembering when you were born, remembering when she carried you everywhere, remember when you used to run to her. It's happening to me now where Adrian does not need me as much, and I cannot believe it. And I will also know as a parent that he has to find his way. And I have to embrace his wife as my daughter, because under no circumstances am I trying to lose my son. I want the storm to calm. Brooklyn, you have to live your life. You have to live your life. And David and Victoria, you have to let him live his life. And if it is true that Brooklyn said that you would only see him without his wife, all bets are off. Because can you imagine if somebody told you that about Victoria? You would not accept it. We don't know the dynamics. We've only been seeing it, bits and pieces, in the social media space. And if Brooklyn has felt that there have been stuff that has been dribbled to the press, then he is now confronting you straight on. He's not hiding behind press. He's like, no. I will let you know that this is how I'm feeling. But I am telling you, Victoria and David, it's not because of Nicola. Nicola, if anything, it came to the surface because he felt you did this SHIT with me, and then now you're doing it with my wife, and I have to step up. That's where this is. I truly believe that's what this is. I believe both of you are wrong. Nicola, you're a wife, and a wife plays many roles. And if you felt that it was okay for you to have another wedding without Brooklyn's family there, then you have not really sat deep down to think to yourself that your children have grandparents on both sides. And the harsh truth is that your father is 83, whereas your father-in-law has just turned 50. That's a 30-year gap. You have to think about certain things, and you have to think on the behalf of your husband, and you have to make an effort. because you're a wife now and you are the matriarch of your home. A man can buy a house. It's us, the women, that make it a home. We are the ones that bring everybody together. And really and truly, it's until you have your children before you really see how that all plays out. Brooklyn is a Beckham. Even when he takes your name, that's the love he declares for you. You, regardless of the dress, and I understand at the 11th hour, Victoria could not make the dress and she danced inappropriately, as Brooklyn said, and you know you were supposed to have the love song at the wedding. Darling, this is all new love. New, young love. Believe you me when I tell you, there are more issues and problems and challenges that the two of you are going to face in your lifetime more than a wedding song. You're not ready. Because if this is what you think is what marriage is, baby girl, absolutely not. You will have to overlook. You will have to forgive. You will have to swallow some indignities in order to keep the relationship of your husband and his family together, regardless of whether you are in it or not. Let me tell you something. Desalu-Vold, of whom I love and I miss, I would never jeopardize that relationship, even if it meant that I had to step up out of it. Ula and his father have to have that relationship. And that's where I say that if Brooklyn wrote this and you knew about it, you should have stepped in and said, wait, take a breath. Don't do this. It's going to affect you. It will affect your children too. It's a web. It's unfortunate because we cannot choose our family members. And family relationships can be toxic. It's a situation where you would have stepped out and reached out to his mom. You got married. The dress that you wore was absolutely beautiful, regardless if it wasn't a Beckham dress. I have a couple of her dresses too. I love her dresses. They're so fabulous. I wear them a lot for office meetings. I don't want you to walk away. I think it can be salvaged. You're so young, 26. You got married in 22, just 4 years in. If this was a situation where you have been married for 20 years, you're in your 40s, in your 50s, and this was an ongoing saga of 20, 30 years, then maybe I would have said, okay, walk away, don't look back. I might have said that. I'm just sad. For it to come to this, for it to be all over the press, for us to cover this, is not what I want for you as a family unit. And Victoria, David, you have to go to the drawing board. You cannot be mad like that, because I saw a clip where Brooklyn was reaching out to you and you just distanced right there on the red carpet. And that made me realize that, yes, you know what? It's on both sides. It is on both sides. This is not all Brooklyn. And you have to understand, Brooklyn is outnumbered. You have the whole family on this side and you have him. And that's not fair. But the two of you to say, if it is true that he should only come to the party like he's a party guest, that's hurtful. That he should only come for appearances, that's equally hurtful. Because there's no substance, there's no value, you're just using me for what? That's how it's going to come across. We have to keep a united front. That's all well, good and dandy. But he's your son. You know what it is to be 26. You know what it is when you were dating Victoria. You know what it is when you're so in love with somebody. You will not see straight. And you want to use that narrative, if it is true that it is her fault. Don't blame anybody. Look to your son. Talk to him. Talk with him. Go out there and see him. If it is true that you went out there and you didn't see him. You cannot put that request out there and say, I will see you without his wife. You can't tell me that. I'll tell you where to go. And I'll repeat it until you see me with my wife. If you want to see me alone to discuss, what's going on, that's different. But to say, don't bring my wife there, it cannot be a tit for a tat. You have to be the bigger person. You're the parents. You have to be the bigger person. That's where unconditional love comes in. That's where you go back and you sit down and you say, okay, we don't understand what Brooklyn said. He was da-da-da-da. But what about you? Where do you take accountability and say, perhaps I could have water coolered the situation and done A, B, and C? If it is true that he was in the hotel room for a week, you could have gone to the hotel room. You're the godfather of this ship. Don't ever get it twisted. Doesn't matter whether Nicola's parents are billionaires. It really doesn't matter. Yours comes with a different kind of spice. Really, really respect the position you are in. And you call your house to order. If you cannot with your family, then there's nothing left. There's nothing left. Let it settle. And if you are to release a statement, we love Brooklyn. Yes, write it there because that's your son, nobody else's. We love Brooklyn and Nicola very much. You take that opportunity to water cooler the situation so that everybody out here talking about this, that, and the third, they don't know you. They don't know the thread and the fabric of which this family was built. That's where you stay and stand strong. We love Brooklyn. We love you, Brooklyn. We love you, Nicola. This is a family matter of which we will solve. Thank you so very much for your love and support. End of. David, Victoria, Harper, Cruz, and Romeo. You put them all there. And if they're blocked, unblock them right now. Because you're only giving all of this to the press and they will continue to throw wood in the fire. That's what you got to do. Your PR people, they're out of it. Let them stay out of it. And you deal with this, your family, head on. Because what you don't want to do, you really don't want Brooklyn to walk away. You don't want that. Because I tell you, once on either side, you learn to live and survive without each other, it's going to be too late. The older I get, the more I realize, I become so calm. I become calmer. I become more reasonable. My clarity is sharp. And I don't react. Send you all of my love. See you on the next one. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, hit the notification button, and I'll see you what? I'll see you sooner or later. Some of you will say, Fumi, where did you get this from? It's a jumpsuit. Yes, I got it in Zara. There you go. That's the back of it. I got it in Zara and I absolutely love it. And I thought, you know what? I'll wear it today. All right, guys, I gotta go. All of my love. Victoria, call me if you need me. I'm here. Da, 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 da.